Translator, Dark Angel, Kurisu. You think you're a martial arts genius? Lu Yutong said, voice like frost scraping jade. I am 17 years old this year, just like you, but I am already in the 9th layer of element gathering tier. What about you? Pooh! At those words, it was as if a cold wind swept the martial training court. Everyone drew a sharp breath, stunned into silence. The 9th layer of element gathering tier. What kind of concept was that? Only the strongest of the strong in Great Cloud Town had this kind of cultivation level. Shen Ziyan was indeed a genius. Those who had achieved the 9th layer of body refining tier at the age of 17 were definitely an uncommon existence in the history of Great Cloud Town. On average, there would only be 2 or 3 of such geniuses every 100 years, and each one of them demonstrated extraordinary talent in their lifetime, going on to become famous and leave their mark in the history of Rain Country. But when compared with Lu Yutong, Shen Ziyan couldn't even hold a candle to the former. A 17-year-old managed to achieve the 9th layer of element gathering tier. Even in the vast territory of Rain Country, how many such geniuses would appear in 100 years? Lu Yutong no longer suppressed her power. Her aura unfurled, majestic, vast, like a mountain pressing down, revealing the terrifying might of a warrior in the 9th layer of element gathering tier. In an instant, everyone in the surrounding area could sense the strength hidden within her body, as if a dragon coiled beneath her skin. Shen Ziyan bore the brunt of it as the one closest to Lu Yutong. Underneath this powerful aura, she abruptly lowered her head. She wasn't even qualified to look directly at Lu Yutong. This was unacceptable to the arrogant Shen Ziyan, and as she struggled to raise her head to look directly at her opponent, her eyes were filled with fear, despair, and confusion. Why was there suddenly an appearance of someone her own age, but with both beauty and brilliant talent, that even she had no choice but to admit her inferiority? Furthermore, why had such a person given her a slap out of the blue? How dare you look down on him? Lu Yutong spoke, turning to point at Ling Han, and once more turned to look at Shen Ziyan. You're completely unqualified. What? She was here to defend Ling Han? Whether it was Shen Ziyan or everyone else, they were all in a state of complete disbelief. This girl with elegant and noble bearing, unparalleled beauty, and shocking talent in martial arts was actually acquainted with Trash Ling? Being acquainted with each other was inconceivable enough, and yet she had actually defended Ling Han. How could anyone accept this? Especially the guys in the area. They all felt like they were about to die of jealousy. Shen Ziyan gritted her teeth, her eyes spitting fire. She had now transferred all her fury onto Ling Han. That was because Lu Yutong was too strong, and she dared not have even the slightest thought of revenge. However, Ling Han was a different story. With his cultivation level at the 4th layer of body refining tier, in her eyes, he could be finished off in a single blow. Moreover, everything was because of Ling Han. He had deliberately made fun of her, so she spoke to him in mockery. As a result, she was publicly slapped by Lu Yutong and had disgraced herself. However, in truth, had she not insulted Ling Han in the first place, he would have long left. Then the subsequent course of events would never have happened. But with her self-centered personality, how could she possibly reflect on her own behavior? So naturally, she would push all the fault onto another person's shoulders. She pointed at Ling Han and spoke shrilly. In what way am I not qualified? Isn't this guy just a piece of trash? Trash? Have you seen a piece of trash that could break through 2 layers within a single night? And what kind of trash would cause a black-grade alchemist to beg just to be able to follow by his side? Naturally, Lu Yutong did not intend to inform Shen Ziyan about any of this, so she only said, such a short-sighted woman like yourself naturally cannot see that underneath the dust lies gold, underneath the darkness hides a pearl. You have already missed out on your chance, so there's no point in pointing out his brightness to you. As she spoke, Lu Yutong felt a little irritated. Ling Han had actually admired a woman like this. Of course, she would never admit that she was jealous. Shen Ziyan laughed loudly before pointing at Ling Han and said, He's gold. He's a pearl? What kind of joke are you playing? He's nothing more but a piece of trash, a complete, utter piece of trash. In less than 3 months, He will become someone that all of you would only be able to look up to, Lu Yutong said assuredly. She did not know why Ling Han had kept such a low profile in the past, but now he was obviously going to display his brilliance, dazzling to the point that the sun would look pale in comparison. Hearing these words, everyone sneered. Although Ling Han had truly defeated Cheng Hao, but his actual cultivation level was only the 4th layer of body refining tier, or the 5th layer at most. Although this kind of cultivation level was not considered trash, it was still very far off from being proclaimed as a genius, not to mention actually becoming someone that everyone would only look up to. N? Lu Yutong's almond eyes widened. The aura of a warrior of 9th layer of element gathering tier trembled slightly, and suddenly all the taunting laughter came to a complete stop. Ling Han, how dare you? At this moment, a furious roar was heard as 2 figures quickly rushed into the martial training court. One of the figures was none other than Cheng Hao. The other figure seemed to be slightly older than him, with a few similarities in their features. This was Cheng Hao's older brother, Cheng Shang, currently 19 years old, 9th layer of body refining tier. Both were at the 9th layer of body refining tier. One was 17, the other was 19. There was no comparison between their respective natural talent. Of course, a 19-year-old who has achieved the 9th layer of body refining tier would still be able to claim the title of a genius in Grey Cloud Town, although he was not as extraordinary as Shen Ziyan. Pang, pang, pang. Cheng Shang's steps echoed loudly, hinting at his current terrifying state of utter fury. He stopped about 3 meters away from Ling Han, pointed at him and said, "What despicable means have you used?" Ling Han smiled coldly and said, "So I won only because I made use of despicable means? Of course, otherwise, how could a piece of trash like you ever defeat my younger brother?" Cheng Shang spoke loudly. Unlike Ling Han's infamous reputation as a piece of trash, if today's issue was not appropriately handled, the Cheng clan's reputation would definitely be seriously impacted. Thus, whether it was true that Ling Han had made use of despicable means or not, he had to insist that he had done so. Hearing the word trash, everyone's expressions became very strange. Shen Ziyan had just said something similar, and the result was being repeatedly slapped by Lu Yutong. This elite warrior of the 9th layer of element gathering tier is still here, and you actually dare to publicly curse at Ling Han? Isn't this just asking for trouble? With Ling Han's experience, he naturally could tell with a glance what Cheng Xiang's intentions were. He did not reveal them, though, and only slowly said, "Oh, then how do I prove that I did not make use of those despicable means you're speaking of?" Hang, you used despicable means to bully my younger brother. As an older brother, how can I pretend that I did not see anything? Since you're so brave, then I dare you to spar with me. Cheng Xiang obviously came well prepared. Everyone could not help thinking, how shameless! You are already in the 9th layer of body refining tier, while Ling Han is only in the 4th layer of body refining tier. The difference of 5 layers, how could he compare to you? However, as long as Ling Han was given a harsh beating, it would weaken the degree of embarrassment caused by Cheng Hao's previous actions, and also help to avenge Cheng Hao. This was a very smart move, and could be said to be hitting 2 birds with 1 stone. Ling Han's smile disappeared, and he shook his head, saying, "You are in the 9th layer of body refining tier, while I'm only in the 4th layer of body refining tier. Doesn't this seem very unjust?" "I don't mind if you find someone to take your place in the spar." Cheng Hao laughed loudly. Naturally, he was very familiar with Ling Han's label as trash. With such reputation, no one would befriend him in the whole academy, so where on earth could he find anyone to help him? Furthermore, even if he did find someone to help him, what about it? Cheng Hao was in the 9th layer of body refining tier and was one of the strongest in the academy. What did he have to fear? Everyone's expressions once more became very strange. Ling Han really did have someone in his corner. Furthermore, that someone was an extremely strong warrior of the 9th layer of element gathering tier that could, in one move, instantly kill a person in the 9th layer of body refining tier. Wasn't this just looking for death? Translator, Dark Angel. Editor Kurisu Liu. Yutong stepped forth, her footsteps like frost settling upon a silent lake, and said in a voice clear as cold jade, I will take his place. Cheng Shang's gaze had earlier been locked upon Ling Han alone, and only now did he truly see her. The moment his eyes landed on that breathtaking, icy beauty, they could not help but freeze there, unwilling to move. How could there be such a woman beneath the heavens? Wait, did she just declare she would take Ling Han's place in the spar? In an instant, jealousy and fury surged up within Cheng Xiang like raging flames. What right did a piece of trash like Ling Han have to stand beside such a peerless beauty? It was unjust, so absurd it was laughable. He hurriedly said, "Miss, you must be new here and must have been deceived by this guy's pretty words. He is the trash from Ling Clan. This is something that everyone in this academy knows very well." A scorching anger flashed at once within Lu Yutong's beautiful eyes. Hearing these people spit such insults at Ling Han, she could not help but be angered. What right did these people have to insult him in this way? Don't. Just now it was a woman, so I did not mind you doing my work for me. But now the opponent is a man, and a duel between men should be settled between men, Ling Han said. Shaking his head, one hand came to rest upon Lu Yutong's shoulder. The sight of that single touch made everyone nearby, even the females, feel as though madness were about to seize them with jealousy. Ling Han actually had such intimate contact with their goddess. What enraged them even further was the fact that Lu Yutong actually did not appear to resist it at all. Lu Yutong knit her brows slightly. Cheng Xiang was far different from Cheng Hao. The former stood at the 9th layer of body refining tier, his cultivation exceeding Ling Han's by a full 5 layers. She knew Ling Han could perform miracles and possessed the ability to bypass the limitations of cultivation levels to challenge those much stronger than him. But the difference between him and his current opponent was really too large this time. In her eyes, the chance of Ling Han winning was close to 0. "Don't worry, you should have more faith in me," Ling Han said with a smile. "Then let's spar," Cheng Xiang said. He did not know how Ling Han had bewitched Lu Yutong, but he believed that once he had publicly defeated Ling Han, this extremely stunning beauty would naturally be able to see Ling Han's true colors. Ling Han nodded once more toward Lu Yutong, and only then did the icy beauty step back. This little female attendant of his was really quite interesting. Ling Han smiled. Yet the instant he turned to face Cheng Xiang, the mirth faded, replaced by careful caution. A gap of 5 layers was large, truly large. If Lu Yutong suppressed her power to the 4th layer of body refining tier and battled with Cheng Xiang, she would only be able to grit her teeth in defeat. Ling Han dared accept this challenge because he knew a martial arts technique called Lone Wolf's Blood. With every injury, the user would be able to erupt with power that surpassed his actual cultivation level. The heavier the injury, the stronger the power he erupted with would be. In his past life, Ling Han would only be able to take a large amount of alchemical medicines and pills to heal his injuries, but currently, he had no such healing medicines. But that was okay, because he now possessed an even more powerful secret art, Indestructible Heaven Scroll. "Come!" Ling Han crooked a finger in invitation. His heart was calm. He had already cast away the glory of a warrior of the heaven tier. The present him was only a minor martial artist of the 4th layer of body refining tier. Everything was back to square one. Cheng Xiang naturally would not take Ling Han seriously. He began to casually circle around him, a cold smile hanging on his face. He could easily, effortlessly suppress a mere minor character of the 4th layer of body refining tier. "Brother, thrash him!" Cheng Hao could not help but shout. Presently, his face hurt a lot. Moreover, he had even been forced to kneel and crawl around like a dog in front of everyone, making an embarrassment out of himself. He was naturally filled with furious hatred towards Ling Han. There was one person who shared that feeling, and that was Shen Ziyan. She too hated Ling Han to the bone. Cheng Xiang nodded and said, "All of you should take a good look. This is what happens to all who dare to defy our Cheng clan." The corners of his lips lifted upward in a cruel smile, and a powerful punch shot toward Ling Han. Ling Han snorted, clenched his fist, and likewise surged forward to meet him. "What?" Seeing such a scene, everyone thought Ling Han had gone mad. A head-on contest of power between the 4th layer and the 9th layer of body refining tier. This was an extremely stupid move. Previously, wasn't Ling Han very smart, with his fearful ability to foresee attacks? He easily dispersed Cheng Hao's attack's power and thrashed the latter like he was a dog. But now, against the much stronger Cheng Xiang, he actually cast away this kind of battle technique? Did he think he would not lose fast enough? At this moment, even Lu Yutong felt she was about to lose faith in Ling Han, because this kind of power battle was the purest, truest display of the strength of cultivation levels and disparity in strength. Only Ling Han was filled with confidence. He, of course, would not be deliberately looking to be beaten. Come! Pang! The two fists crashed together. If time were slowed 100-fold, one could clearly see that beneath the violent jolt of power, the skin on Ling Han's arm rose and fell like rippling water from fist to shoulder. Then came a rapid pa-pa-pa-pa sound. Arteries ruptured, and in an instant his entire arm became badly mangled. The gap in strength truly was far too wide. Tang, tang, tang! Ling Han retreated a full 7 steps before he finally regained his balance. Ha! Trash will always be trash! Cheng Shang laughed coldly. Ever since Ling Han had entered the academy, he had become the target of bullying for him and Cheng Hao. Ling Han thought he could bring about a change in his fate now, in his dreams. Ling Han's face was utterly expressionless as the indestructible heaven scroll continued to circulate within his body and the injury in his arm rapidly healed. Yet with fresh blood coating his arm, those swiftly recovering wounds could not be seen. And with his injury, Lone Wolf's blood also began to circulate through him, driving his power upward to a new level. 5th layer of body refining tier. Ling Han gave a shout and once again took the initiative, rushing toward Cheng Shang. It's no use, Ling Trash. You will be a piece of trash your whole life. Cheng Shang laughed loudly, and his fist flew toward Ling Han once more. Pang! The 5th layer of body refining tier was still vulnerable before the 9th. Again, Ling Han was forced to retreat, spilling fresh blood. The right arm that had only just healed became badly mangled once more. Cheng Shang's eyes flickered with surprise, because he sensed his opponent's power had increased by a large margin compared to the previous clash, though he was still far weaker than himself. Ling Han circulated Indestructible Heaven Scroll, while simultaneously stimulating Lone Wolf's blood. His eyes shone like a battle wolf's, brimming with killing intent. 6th layer of body refining tier. Injury upon injury, Ling Han's power rose yet again. He roared and once more threw himself at Cheng Shang. Cheng Shang's strength was extraordinary, yet beneath Ling Han's stare, he actually felt a sliver of fear. Immediately, anger erupted. This was a piece of trash. For him to feel even a bit of dread toward a piece of trash, it was completely laughable. He wanted to defeat Ling Han in a single strike and injure him heavily, so the latter would not be able to rise again. Pang! 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 The two exchanged blows without pause. Naturally, Ling Han was at a clear disadvantage. With every collision, Cheng Shang left him suffering heavy injuries. And yet, each time, Ling Han would immediately kindle his battle spirit anew and retaliate. His determination was unbelievable. Moreover, Ling Han's attacks were becoming fiercer and stronger, and slowly he was actually able to fight Cheng Shang on even footing. 7th layer of body refining tier. Cheng Shang understood very clearly that Ling Han's power had shockingly surged to the 7th layer of body refining tier. Thankfully, after rising to that degree, Ling Han's power did not increase any further. Otherwise, Cheng Shang would truly begin to feel fear. It couldn't be helped. After all, Lone Wolf's blood also had its limits. It could only help Ling Han increase his power by 3 layers. However, 7th layer of body refining tier against 9th layer of body refining tier, the gap had shrunk to only 2 layers difference.